Day we are together again. On the day we are together again, I will pull you in close like a hoop with no end. On the day we are together again, we will share the same table again. We will share the same table again. I will pass you the salt, the candlelight will bend when we share the same table again. We will walk around the block hand in hand. We will walk around the block hand in hand. We will stop for a snack at the taco truck stand when we walk around the block hand in hand. Someday we will go back to work. Someday we will go back to work. May we be among people who respect our work. Someday we will go back to work. I will write you a letter for now. I will write you a letter for now. Hope is a message that survives somehow. I will write you a letter for now. I will help the strangers I meet. I will help the strangers I meet. It is possible to get back on our feet. I will help the strangers I meet. To the healers who keep us alive. To the healers who keep us alive. A toast to your courage, knowledge and light. To the healers who keep us alive. And the ones we love who are gone. And the ones we love who are gone. We remember the stories and we sing the songs for the ones we love who are gone. And on the day we are together.
Oh, because I'm a dummy. I'm so dumb sometimes. I'm very blonde. It is because I didn't have the mute off. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Hope you are well. Today is November 17th, 2023. Thank you all for joining me. 8:05 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. Thank you all. I apologize for my other live. So you guys were saying let me show you this. Let me show you this. See, on my end, it says November 19th at 7:30. And everyone's like, you're live scheduled now. You're live scheduled now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So, yes. So there's that. There's that. How's everyone doing? Thank you. It's so good to see you all. It is still live. What the freak? It is still streaming. That is so weird. Let me try to fix it on my phone really quick. I don't understand why it's doing that. Let me see if I can fix it. I didn't see it. Maybe some people can, and some people. Oh, thank you, Angel. You're a sweetie. I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird. We're gonna get into it in just a second, y'all. Bear with me. Just want to make sure that thing is off. Okay, it's off. It should be off. It doesn't say anything. Oh, there's a one that's called test. Okay. Oh God. Hold on. Let me see here. Um, what's it called? Bear with me, y'all. Mm, Let me just fix this and we'll get on with it. We'll get on with it. Too many schedule. Okay. All right, we got it fixed. We got it fixed. All right. So everything should be down now. Everything should be down. So I want to tell you guys about this case, and crimes have consequences. I want to give a big thank you to you. Thank you. A thank out to you. Crime has consequences. For letting me know about this case. Um, although it's resolved. I mean, it's somewhat resolved, I would say, but I want to show you guys some things here, and this is in Kentucky. It's very close to Jinkies. Jinkies was saying it's just right down the road from her, and here we go. Look at this. Look at this little darling. Hold on. Something is playing. I hear Jody Sue. What is going on here? What is happening? This is so weird, y'all. Okay, I think I got it fixed. Weird night, weird night. Yeah, yeah, crimes have consequences. Where where's the voodoo doll when I'm telling you. I guess she's got one of me. All right, so here we go. Missing 4-year-old baby, guys. Found unalived. Guardian, aunt, and boyfriend charged with the unaliving. Brittany Slaughter, her last name, 24, Adam Hayes, 34, are each charged with murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with physical evidence. Look at this little light. This reminded me so much of Serenity McKinney. Now, remember, we were very good friends, still are good friends with the family of Serenity McKinney. And this is in Kentucky. And it's one of those cases where she was missing for since September. Now, Serenity was missing a lot longer than that, but people were looking out. They were like, "Hey, what's going on here? What's going on? Where's the kid?" And she was hiding, the aunt and all of that. So we're going to get into it, and then we're going to be talking about the Summer Wells case. We had a good live last night, and we're going to continue some stuff on that. This is by People Magazine. Credit goes to them. 2 people have been arrested in connection with the unalive of a 4-year-old Kentucky girl, Khloe Darnell. The Whitley County Sheriff's Department announced in a Facebook post Friday today. Kentucky law enforcement says a body they believe to be that of a 4-year-old, quote, has been recovered and sent to the state medical examiner's office in Frankfort for an autopsy and positive identification, end quote. According to the post, a family member identified the deceased child as Chloe in a GoFundMe campaign earlier today. Brittany Slaughter, 24, and Adam Hayes, 34, are each charged with unaliving, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with physical evidence, the sheriff department says, adding that the additional charges may be filed what remains a, quote, active investigation, end quote. Look how precious. How do people like I chalk it up to just drugs and evilness. Addiction, really. Slaughter had custody of Chloe, who had not been seen alive since late September. We're in the middle of November right now, guys, close to Thanksgiving. Late September, nearly 2 months. Nearly too much. According to the sheriff's department preliminary investigation, both Slaughter and Chloe had previously been reported missing from the Canada Town community of Whitley County, the sheriff's department said. On Thursday, investigators seized a red 2009 Mitsubishi Lancer, which the sheriff's department believes Slaughter had been using prior to Cody's disappearance. I saw a picture of that, and it's like this red car, faded, and it's got a big X on the hood. It's real weird. Very, very weird. Very strange. The GoFundMe campaign created by Trisha Hess, who identified herself as a relative of the family, described Chloe as a, quote, bright and happy child, end quote, who was living with her aunt, Brittany Slaughter. Hess identified Hayes as Slaughter's boyfriend. Why do I always say, guys? I've seen it time and time again, and I know y'all have too, but it seems to always be the boyfriend, the stepdad, usually the boyfriend, but generally it is a step type individual, especially with, you know, younger families, it seems. Quote, family and friends were becoming suspicious because they were unable to talk with Chloe in the past month. See something, say something, Hess wrote. She said the sheriff's department conducted a wellness check Thursday and that Slaughter was located at 9 p.m. that night. She was hiding, definitely hiding. Quote, during the night, they searched the area around the house and surrounded woods and were able to locate Chloe's body. Hess said in the post. Hess said that the money would be used to give the 4-year-old a proper burial and funeral, and the remaining funds would be used to bring Chloe's seven siblings into town for her funeral. Anyone with information about the case may call Whitley County Dispatch at area code 606-549-6017 and ask for Officer Lieutenant David Laster, Unit 304, reference case 23-118-0392. Really, really sad. I'm going to show you the aunt and all of that on their Facebook. I've got their Facebook pulled up here, and I'll show it to you. And then we're going to talk about it. So this is the aunt, isn't it? The aunt is, her name is Brittany Slaughter, but she goes by Brittany Page here. Right here. And she was here, she's posted, I don't know if she's got several, but she was posting up on this till November 6th. And look what she was posting. Posting games. She looks young herself. Yeah. I don't know who is. Mex Chica, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. How are you, my love? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's so kind of you. Angel Talks Too Fast, new member. Thank you, my love. Appreciate you. Brandy B, hi, love. Good to see you. Thank you so much, my love. I appreciate you as well. Sarah, 1 year. It's our 1-year anniversary. I'll do candlelight next time or something, okay? All right. So, let's look at this. You know, it sounds like the parents, you know, she's obviously got 7 siblings, little baby does. And sounds like the parents, you know, have had a rough time here. Well, let me show you this right here. Look at this little baby. That is really, really bad. No notifications. I don't know what's going on. No notifications went out. I don't know. I didn't even get a notification for my own. So, people. Okay. Oh, this was that car. This was that car right there. It's got this X on it. This is the car that they found. Look at this. This is tragic. That's exactly right. That's it. Well, yeah, Connie, it wasn't this was like the aunt. You know, if you don't want a kid, there are plenty of people who do. Plenty of people who do. Kathy, yes, 3 months. Thank you, my love. You know, I love you to pieces. Thank you so much. These children's lives, just so beautiful, you know, gone forever. Gone forever. And it's probably because of the man, in my opinion. We'll see. We'll see. We shall see. You know, who knows? Who knows? One way, 1 month. Thank you, my love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where'd it go? Oh, thank you, Brandy B. Thank you so much for the $1.99 super sticker. It's very sweet of you. One way, 1 month. Thank you, my love. Kathy S, 3 months. Thank you so much. I do appreciate y'all. Very kind of you. Yes, specifically, hold on. Duke's specifically like in East Tennessee, it's really bad. He has prior CA charges. Uh, what's CA? I don't know what CA means. I know what I know what the A stands for. Like child assault? Is that what you mean? SL, thank you for gifting 1 membership. Okay. He Oh my god, I see you. Why the hell is he allowed in that home? Like why? I can't stand these glasses on me right now. My other glasses broke. I'm getting my new pair Monday. SL, thank you so much for gifting 1 membership. It's very kind. Yeah, okay. I gotcha. Uh I see you. Are you? I think we got that background. Let me see here. I might have the background here before we get started. All right, I don't see it. I don't see it. Oh well, it's all right. We're going to stay on top of this. I want to thank Whistle so much for this. Dana says if he was the boyfriend, maybe she didn't know about it. Maybe he didn't. It just you kind of wonder about did they have legal custody? She wasn't in school yet. And yes, I see the Khloe Darnell, but I don't see the okay. All right. Okay, let me see here. I found it. Thank you. All right. So this guy, 34 years old, in Campbell, Tennessee, he got aggravated assault, Class C felony. That was in 2010. Campbell, Tennessee, 2010. Child A and neglect under the age of 6. Oh my God. Felony Class D. He got 8 years, 0 months, 0 days. He got 8 years for that. 8 years. I think you should get longer than that. 2008, charges filed, assault, 2nd degree. 2007, charges filed, theft by unlawful taking, shoplifting. This looks like Don Wells. Just all kinds of stuff, man. These people, like, how do they get in trouble? Like, I mean, you got to be like a real heathen to stay in trouble like that. Someone being disrespectful in chat. Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. She can say some real. Yes, Molly. Actually, the gays these days, we can actually get married. We're allowed that now. Um and you know back in 2000 and I don't know 14 or something, the gays was we were finally allowed. Um, so yeah, only mods and Justin saw your comment. What an idiot. I th- I mean, people are morons. Don't worry about them. All right. Moving forward. We're going to continue talking about some of the interview that Chris did with oh my god, please don't fail me now. One second, y'all. Give me 1 second. It literally just stopped working. One second, y'all. Jesus, Mary, and Josephine. Oh my goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Let me fix this. It's not my day, I'm telling you. Have I got sound? Hopefully. Now I got sound. All right. But it's raining here like really hard. And my notifications didn't go out. And my internet is crap. I pay for the highest internet. I gotta have them come back out. What else can I complain about? Let's see here. All right, so let's start. Let's continue where we was the other day with the interview with Chris McDonough from the interview room. You need rain. Keep the rain there. All right, so this is Dr. Gary with Chris from the interview room. We wholeheartedly support Chris and Josh. The Wi-Fi is having issues all over it's weird. They said like the sun is starting, like it's, I can't even think right now what it is, but something's up. They catch the internet, is they say up to whatever speed. The solar storms. Thank you. All right, so let's continue where we started yesterday. It is a good thing, but it screws with your internet. Is there magnetics or something messing with the towers? I don't know. It's 2023, about to be 2024. It wouldn't surprise me if aliens just fell down right now. They really wouldn't. Did you pay for the internet to act up? Yes. It is crazy, to say the least. All right, here we go.
Birds flying around to a certain spot. So then what are you left with? You're left with the question of, is this a ridiculous story that conceals a more probable story? And that's the haunting thing about this. So,
after not having any, they didn't find her anywhere with technology, some are anywhere with technology, with so much manpower, helicopters, FBI card team says there's no sign of abduction. They're not cooperating with their daughter's investigation. You tell me, regardless of how you feel about the Wells, if you're pro Wells or you think they're not very nice people or whatever, you tell me, what parents don't cooperate with their child's investigation? I'll wait. Why wouldn't you cooperate with your child's investigation? Is that the driveway to the Amityville house that the Wells live at, Justin? No, this is the drive, this little driveway to the building. This is the main road. This is called Beach Creek Road right here. This is the Wells property, and they own basically a hillside. And there's a big hill up here. Picture like above Chris and Dr. Gary. It's like right up here, and that is where they live, on top of that hill. But Dawn goes here first to this building, which to me never set right with me, and I know it hasn't set with a lot of other people.
I guess what I'm wondering is, has that been looked at? I mean, you would know, know the case history. Has that possibility been examined? Or, I mean, obviously you can't ask dispersions, but I'm curious if that's been looked at.
Yes, and in fact, one of the most interesting things here is this particular shed. So this shed appears to be this one and one other at the top of the property. This shed was immediately introduced into the narrative by the father who returned from work. He says he was at work all day.
Peace. That is a great comment. Don always runs to the shed, ask Mary, law enforcement, etc. Yes, that is Don's place of, refuge, comfort for whatever reason. He lived in a shed, in Utah with as he got older. He likes the sheds. He breaks in them, steals panties, goes there. He hides from police.
He comes home and immediately goes to this shed to search for his daughter and tells the authorities that I know my daughter was abducted. And I mean, there's no question in his mind.
Oh, Kathy, thank you so much. You're my favorite sinner, Justin. 16 months. Well, thank you, sweetheart. That is so sweet of you. God bless you. Thank you.
He has presented the the narrative that his wife is telling the truth, from day one, and that when he came home, he immediately went and checked this area with this particular shed. Now, what's so weird about this is this particular shed is on their property. It belongs to them. It used to belong to his mother. Okay. But it's kind of an out, it's just kind of a one off, into the property. And what I've always thought.
You know what I was thinking the other day? You know how the Wells dogs was interfering with, the search dogs. The Wells, they said they put the dogs in the vehicles. Why didn't they put them in one of the sheds? I'm like, which vehicles did you put them in? That's just weird to me. Angel PR, thank you so much, my love. Love you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. It's like, why, did you put them in Grandis's truck? Like, I don't know. And, in my opinion, they should have not let the Wells go back inside the house. That should have been immediately been a crime scene. I want to pull something up here. I'm going to play this real quick.
Thought was very interesting. You'll see that path directly up there, cut between the forest up there. Okay, that takes you up to another house.
All right, so let me show you this real quick. So this is the inside of the shed that you see right there with Chris. This is the inside of that shed. There's like a stove. There's another stove over there, but it doesn't look like it's got any, it's not able to work. But there's not a lot in here. But why go here? It doesn't make sense. Especially if you've been to the Wells property. This is like the furthest part of their land. It just doesn't make sense, in my opinion. Oh, 1-800, that's okay. Sometimes you need a break. Absolutely. It's near the road, yes. And we're talking about the main road. So that's the inside of the property. You know, this is Summer's room. This is Summer's room. This was taken in July of 2021. So about a month or so after Summer went missing. Now, as you can see, it literally looks like an abandoned crack house, a dungeon. That is not a child's bedroom. That's not a child's bedroom. It is Summer's bedroom, is, but being this messy, right? How would the hell would you know what would be evidence or not? You know what I mean? There is so much there. There's so much there. How would you know what would be evidence, what would not be evidence? It's just, I mean, there's so much crap in this house. I mean, poor Summer, you know, this was her bedroom. She slept on this futon mattress that you couldn't put a fitted sheet on it or any sheet on it if you wanted to, which the Wells didn't have it on any of them. But just look at all that. You can tell that there's been water here, just the water damage. There's, you know, no window. It's open bottles. Just tragic, really. This is the inside of the Wells home right here. How would you know? How would you know what the hell's evidence and what's not? You know, unless there's like something major pointing out, but there's, oh yeah, look at this. I mean, this right here is what they call it. It's for campers. And this is an instant hot water heater. And they're not, you can barely have any hot water come out of them very fast. You got to run it very slowly. You know, the breaker box has got wires. They got plumbing and wire hanging down all over the damn ceiling. Right here's the bar, and underneath that is the steps. How in the world are you going to know, you know, what would be evidence or not? Look at the floors. You know, it's plywood or particle board that is not finished at all. We're going to talk about that, the coat, in a little bit. How are you going to know about that? No. And I guarantee you it is absolutely November. And listen, that's not country living. That is not country living. First of all, Don and Candace aren't country people to begin with. They're not even from Tennessee. That's a crack house. Neglectful. Children deserve so much better than that.
Slash shed up in the property. And for some reason, this shed here appears to be, and at least from my perspective, an area that they don't ever want to talk about. The family has gone on various social media channels for the last 2.5 years or 2 years, and they never want to talk about these particular environments. So I've always felt There's something going on in these environments. And of course, I went to, experience and worst case scenario about, one of the things early on that was said in one of the press conferences by family members is they saw her being held in a dark environment, possibly being essayed and or tortured. And that at some point they would see them in the resurrection, see her, the daughter. Now, that's a pretty definitive description, right, Doc?
Do y'all remember that call that Don was on? I think he might have been talking to Mary. He was really upset in that call. And he said something to the effect of, I know where she is. They're probably got her in a hotel right now doing really bad things. You guys remember that? I know where she is. I've never heard a missing parent say they know where their child is unless they know where their child is. And, Don and Chris makes a great point here. Don is always saying, she's probably locked in some dungeon, is what he says. Probably not able to, play on her swing or be out in nature. This is coming from a man who sits outside of people's properties, peeping Tom, peeping Don is what I call him. That's strange. I know, Rhonda. I know. That was on Ziggy channel with his other sister. Okay. It's very weird. This is Don, who has been in California where, really bad things have happened.
Yes.
Yes, he saw.
It is. Tortured?
And yes.
See, Dr. Gary, his ears perked up right there. Tortured. Because, correct me if I'm trying to think of other, missing parents, that's had a child missing. And has any of them from, recent to past, has any of them said, their child is probably being tortured, probably in a dungeon. They know where she's at. I can't think of one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of always been one of these in my mind. I'm going, okay, something's going. If we looked at the victim risk continuum, and we really take some of the things that have been learned over the last 2.5 years. I've not left the house yet personally, and I have my own opinions. I don't have the totality of the evidence to substantiate it yet. However, I've not been able to. You can clearly see that right now. That shot up into the property up there. Okay,
sure, so, exactly what her name is.
So this is Mom. Okay, we had an opportunity to meet, and a couple of the things that I wanted to point out to you tonight is there are a couple of points in this interview where I see a clear shift in her behavior. And I'm not going to tell you when, okay, because I know you're going to notice it. But I will tell you that it's framed around her talking about her daughter that day. Okay.
Right. Well,
And-
just a couple of things, Chris, before we jump into this.
Yeah.
Two things. One is that you mentioned that torture idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone who's read my book knows torture places you very high on the scale, right? And
torture places you very high on the scale, he says. Now, I'm going to be doing a live shortly about peeping Toms. And it's not just for Don, but it's in general, even though, we're going to be obviously talking about Don because it's relevant. Peeping Tom it starts out as Peeping Tom, but then it's kind of like a gateway. They have an extraordinary high risk of or later even murder. It goes on and on. And in my opinion, there has to be more victims out there. I mean, if there's like 5, 7 victims of Don from when he was like 20 and below, the man is 60-year-old now. He lived with 2 violent child R's. And from what I understand, a person that knows what happened during that time, because she's the one that told me about this, with him living with the 2, and then we pulled the records and all that. But they actually blamed him as well, allegedly, when all of that was going on. He lived in the house too. So I'm going to try to find more about that. Hey, True Crime Junkie, good to see you, babe. There may be more thumbs up than that. It's just I see 495 likes at the moment. YouTube is so weird. Like, it freezes your likes, and it'll say like 8 on your end, and some other one it'll say like 100 and some, and then it's just so weird. Hey, Tracy, good to see you, hon. Good to see you all. Thank you all for being here, actually. So, but yeah, we're going to do a live on the peeping Toms.
people who would engage in such a thing, I can tell you, based on statistics, based on people we have placed in that category, that you are at a point in the scale where you would be doing so purely because of fantasy and personality, and therefore would not stop. So anybody who was engaging in such a thing would be racking up a very large number of people that they have done such a thing to.
Doing such a thing to. Now, we got to ask ourselves, why did Don have this? Why did he go into a place, like I said, get in his car, drive there, sit outside of a home for 2 hours? His admission on the police report, I've showed you guys it before. His admission, he's been sitting out there for 2 hours. Then he went in and he stole some panties. That is some sort of fantasy. That's some sort of fantasy. 200 in the bushes. Nobody has to be in the bush. Anybody can be in here. Come on out. The water's fine. Promise. Yeah, it's weird. True crime junkie. Yes, and Don's oldest son is an RSO. Absolutely. It's some sort of fantasy that he obviously can't contain it, and he has to act out on it by doing very, very risky behavior. That is a very risky behavior. You can get really hurt or unalived by going in someone's house and doing something like that. That is the compulsion that is inside of this man to be able to, to get in a car, sit outside, take your time. This is a married man at the time as well.
So if you're making an accusation that somebody is torturing children, by the way, torturing a child, you would need to see a lot of them in the in a pattern. You're not going to get one isolated incident like this. So that's very weird to me immediately. The other thing is, if I'm correct about,
he's saying it's just not going to be a one-off incident. It's not going to be a one-off incident. And we know of the stories that Don has told us with his own lips. He has uttered this himself. The California trips, right? Where he saw not a child, but children, bad things happening to them, right? He lived with the two RSOs. The stories that he has told us right after Summer went missing, when he went to, there's this little girl out in the yard, and he walked up, and the grandfather was very upset. It was a big scene, right? The things that he said about True, a minor. The story that he said he took a 12 or 13-year-old to the mother. Like, a normal person doesn't have one story, let alone multiple stories and police reports on it. It is what it is. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
The idea that this is not an abduction and this is not someone wandering off, and you have to think about some other possibilities. One thing that you'd want to bear in mind is that you would expect that someone in the family structure, if anything like that is going on here, would know, and that people would have a kind of a reason to keep that, whether it's fear or whatever, but that people have a reason to keep such a thing private. And so that it's unusual for it to be something like everyone is in on a cover story. You'd expect more like a lot of people are scared or somebody is scared. And but again, I have absolutely no idea, and I hope you're going to get into this, of if any question has been raised about whether there was an
Now, Sassafras here is the one that told me about the two violent RSOs that Don was living with. And that's when we pulled the police reports, pulled the articles, and showed you guys. I mean, Sassafras, if you know something like that, you should definitely, take that to, I don't know if you've taken that to the TBI or whatever, but that needs to go to the TBI if you know something like that. Whose ever mom owned a hotel in California? Yes. Don's mom, she ran a hotel there was a hotel in Arkansas or a motel in Arkansas, and there was a motel in California as well. Maybe they got shut down. I don't know if they reopened it. I think it was sold.
Internal involvement, or if it's really honestly like people just completely baffled that their kid is missing.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to talk to her about here?
Yes.
Oh.
What I did hear is she took me back to where they were the day, basically. She lays out what had happened pre-disappearance of Summer. Okay.
Yeah,
I've cut this down because if anybody wants to watch it, they can go see it in the set. But for Dr. Brucato, I wanted to just kind of narrow this down. But there's a couple of really interesting behavioral shifts here, and I'll let you see the other two. But the one I wanted to tell you is immediately as we're walking down there, she makes the comment, "Everything is in slow motion." From that moment. So she's projecting to me that very moment, some type of event that has narrowed it into almost a movie screen or a movie projector, right? You know how, in a trauma. So help people understand the traumatic effect or what happens in trauma and how victims describe their trauma events, because I thought that was really almost fascinating when she said that, to be honest with you, because it caught me completely off guard.
What's the specific line that jumped out?
Baby, because it says, I used to travel in semis a lot a few years back. You should hear CB talk at night around big cities. Oh, wow. I can only imagine. Oh, my God. Yes, it was Stockton, California. Yes, they also allegedly met Robin there in Arkansas. Wasn't it the homeless type camps? There was, Candace was homeless. And she was staying in I don't know what it was, like a place where, the homeless stay. TBI or Hawkins County, because they may. Hawkins County.
Out at you. The exact phrase.
I'll let you.
And tell me the significance of this shirt. Why is it so important?
Because my daughter loved Paw Patrol.
Yeah. So let's take me back to that day when y'all were here swimming. Okay. You okay with that? Okay. So let's walk me down. Is this where you parked?
Yeah, this is where I park. I park here all the time.
All the time. And now, do you come here a lot?
I used to come here a lot. Yeah.
And do you bring the kids here?
I'd bring the kids here all the time, and they'd either fish or swim.
Okay.
Whichever.
Right.
It's there's nobody down here hardly.
Right.
So it's away from. I don't like to have the kids around a bunch of other kids because of all the sickness and stuff that's been going around.
Yeah.
Different kids and stuff like that.
Jesse says, why, Justin, why have I heard that Summer slept in the bed with Dawn, and then we see Summer's bedroom? I'm confused. Well, she still had a bedroom. But she didn't sleep in her bedroom. I believe CPS made them have her, a bedroom. I know that they made Dawn build the bunk beds upstairs for the boys. So Dawn built them as well. Sassy Fresh, we can do that at the end, sure, if you want to. Yeah, you can come up in a little bit if you want.
Yep.
So this was more secluded, private kind of thing, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm more of a
because downstairs, from what I understand, it was just really one big room, just one big room, and they all just kind of slept down there, you know, I guess beds in each corner or whatever, and they had to make a bedroom for Summer, and then the boys upstairs. It's not a bedroom. It's not a bedroom, but you know, we're using it loosely.
Quiet kind of person. I don't like to be in a big crowd.
Yeah.
I tend to stick to myself and my family, and that's it.
Tell me about the dynamics of what everybody was doing. Who was doing what when you first got here? What happened?
I got out of the car first, and then I opened the back door because my mom's got a double door on her truck.
Right.
So I opened the back door and I let her and Hunter out.
Okay.
And Summer's first thing is to run to the water, of course.
Right.
I was like, Summer, just wait. Let me get my stuff, and I'll walk over there with you. And she waited for me, and I don't know. Hunter went off into the woods somewhere. I don't know.
Now, where was Summer sitting?
She was sitting in the middle seat.
Okay.
Hunter was sitting on the end.
Okay.
And my mom said, hold on a minute. So we waited for my mom to get out.
Okay.
And Hunter, he just done disappeared into the woods. I don't know where he went.
Okay. Okay.
And me and my mom and Summer walked over there. And we were just letting Summer play. And then Hunter eventually come back out of the woods wherever he was.
Okay.
And
so let's walk over there. Show me. And I'll just follow you, okay?
No.
I'll follow you on which direction. And
everything's slow motion now.
I know.
Okay, did you catch that?
Yeah, about everything being slow motion.
Right. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, it sounds like, of course, I can't make a clinical determination of what's going on there, but I will say that people who have experienced traumatic events can sometimes experience.
BB, that's the sad thing. Summer didn't even have half of a decent bedroom until she was missing. And to be honest with you, she wouldn't have had that if Dr. Phil wouldn't even show it. He wouldn't even show it on there until it was clean. Until they took all the trash out, which Kathy helped with that. Kathy told me about that.
Dissociation, where the world starts to feel fake, time feels distorted, things can have an unreal quality to them. Anyone who's ever experienced a traumatic loss or any kind of event, understands that idea that thinking starts to get murky, and you start wondering what happened to this person. Wouldn't you say, Chris? I mean, that we hear that from people who are victims of traumatic events.
Yeah,
that mind gets distorted like that.
Yeah, the environment gets distorted around them.
Murky, dreamlike, slowed down, sped up, confused. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Although we don't know.
So which direction does Hunter go?
He went that way.
He went that way. Now, was he in a bathing suit?
No, I think he just had his shorts and his shirt on.
Okay. And Summer, was she in her bathing suit?
Yes.
And how did she get in her bathing suit? Or
I actually put her bathing suit on before we left home because it was really hot out that day.
Okay.
So it was just something.
Now, notice how she's like, oh, I put her bathing suit on before we left home because it was going to be really hot out that day. Okay. Well, if you did that, you're saying it's going to be really hot out, but then by that afternoon, she's in a jacket with a hood and long sleeve pants. Make that make sense. You go from a bathing suit to a jacket without air conditioning, sitting in the back of a cab of a truck. Doesn't make sense in my opinion. And you were planning on going swimming that day. If you put a bathing suit on a child at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, you're obviously going swimming. You have obviously already planned that. But there's two other stories on top of that. One is when she went over to Hunter's house, they decided they'll go swimming then. And Hunter says that Candace put the bathing suit on Summer there. Candace disagrees. She said that did not happen. She had put the bathing suit on her of the morning. And then they go to pick up the medicine. They say it's going to be 35 minutes. And that is when they decide to swim. I think they decided that they were going to swim the previous night, the night of the 14th or early in the morning of the 15th. Hunter said he did not go to sleep until very, very late. So I think that was planned, in my opinion. Why not put swimsuit on and tracksuit over it? In my opinion, not the same days. None of the clothes she wore makes sense. Well, I think they're the same days personally, but I don't understand why you were keeping her outfit that you say was going to be her first day of school. Why would you put it on her that day? You were saving it for school. You had it in the car. Something's off.
Small and thin, not so hot.
Okay.
Because I know how she gets too hot.
Okay.
See, there you go. She says, because I know how she gets too hot. Well, in just a little bit, you're going to say, oh, Summers constantly stays cold. She's always cold. She doesn't like air conditioner. She's cold. She wants this she wants this coat. It is also zipped up. Why?
And what was the temperature that day? Give me an idea.
Probably in the 80s.
Okay. So it's Tennessee warm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like it is now.
And are you an air conditioned person, or in your mom's truck was the AC on? Or
I don't like AC.
Okay. So what happened? Where do you guys go, and where's Summer going here?
We all walked down this path, me, my mom, and Summer.
All right. So all three of you together.
Yeah.
Now, how does Mom's knee handle this hill here?
Well, she uses her cane, so it's.
So the oddity for me that day was Mom had gone to the hospital to get her knee, looked at, and she ended up getting, the whole reason they're there is because they're waiting for this prescription of pain medications and or medication to be, filled. So they decide, well, let's take the children, Summer, let's take.
Exactly. The tracksuit would have made more sense in the morning when it was cooler than the 80s in the afternoon. No sense. And when something doesn't make sense, in my opinion, they're hiding something.
Take Summer swimming. They bring the 15-year-old boy with them that they had picked up. And in this particular, when she said, as I was walking down that path, I was like, well, you just came from the hospital with your mom and we're walking down this path here. How's your mom, navigating this terrain here? Because, quite frankly, I didn't know if she was just, selling me something, or if in fact, it was the jury's out for me on that particular sale right now, because I wasn't sure. And there's also a couple.
There's also the memory, the fact that memory can be distorted in people who.
Absolutely, Sassy Frass. The Wells like to go to churches to pick up homeless people and bring them home with them. Candace allegedly brought a guy home from a gas station. That's how Don met Candace.
Who have experienced traumatic events. And I mean, for example, I've interviewed people who were victims of 9/11 who swear that things happened that didn't occur. It was raining. It was a beautiful day that day. You know, I went back in to save somebody. People, there's no witness to indicate there's any truth to that. You know, they just kind of remember it differently because trauma has a way of doing that. So we don't know, but it's interesting when you catch things that don't add up, you know, all the different possibilities. But one possibility is that this is a person who is traumatized.
Yeah. Right. And so there's a couple of different stories here that were floating around, you know, before I had even spoken to her one-on-one. One of them is that the child, Summer, was out playing. She'd gone underwater. The 15-year-old boy said that he went out, pulled her out. So you'll hear this from mom presenting that.
Remember Don saying the incident as well, the incident at the watering hole. Well, Don, you was at work, so how would you know there was an incident? And nobody said there was an incident. Don Grandma of 3, love listening to you. Josh, thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you, Don Grandma of 3. God bless you, my dear. Thank you for 6 months of membership. I really do appreciate that, Grandma of 3. Very kind of you.
The other, you know, mom will say that never happened. Okay, so there's this he said, she said, a lot of that going on here. The grandmother, she's 50-50. She doesn't remember being here at the water hole, but somehow, you know, she's at the water hole with the mom. And so there's a lot of moving.
Something stinks about this day. Grandma's like, they was at the water hole, I believe it was. Remember that? I believe it was. Well, you were there, Grandma. Right? I think there had to be more vehicles.
Parts here as, you know, she's laying this out.
A little bit easier, and she'll hold on to my shoulder so
Okay.
she doesn't fall or nothing.
So you're kind of escorting her down here.
Yeah.
And is Summer ahead of you or behind
She's
you?
right here in front of me.
Okay. So walk me through that.
Oh, we're just walking down through here. I mean, usually, like I said, we go slow because of my mom's knee.
Okay.
Myself.
Okay.
I was just standing here at the end, and then, well, the water's up a lot further than it usually is. Usually it's down. You can usually see all that wood sticking up out of the water. And she was just playing right here.
And what time do you get here about, if you remember?
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you. Time is... I don't keep track of time.
No, I understand.
I mean, I get up in the morning, I do my thing with the kids, and then we go to bed.
Okay.
So could you please think a little harder, Candace? You know, like, look at your receipts, your timestamps, or whatever on your phone. Oh, that's right. They were deleted. But they weren't deleted till 3:30. So why can't you look at your, you know, compare notes with Grandis? Receipts of what time you was at Sonic, the hippie house, the grocery store, all of that.
I can't even tell you. I know I went to the hospital at 8 with my mom, dropped her off, and I was sitting there, and Hunter called me and asked me what I was doing. I said I was sitting at the hospital in the parking lot waiting on my mom to get done. And he said, well, why don't y'all come over? I said, well, as long as your mom says it's okay. And I guess he woke her up or said something to her, and he said, yeah, she said it's fine for a little bit. Because I guess his grandma was coming over or something. She don't like me. I don't like her either. So.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, seems like you guys have had a falling out. There's no question about that. Then, so you're down here, and all of a sudden now, Summer is doing what?
Summer's just playing in the water right here.
Okay.
I'm just standing right here. Well, the flowers have died that were there on that.
Oh, so there were a bunch of flowers here?
Now, there is a TikTok video that she did, and it does show a bunch of flowers and stuff with her pointing them out, etc. It shows the other young man who was 15 at the time. You know, he comes out of the water and he puts some hand signs up, and she describes that as being gang signs. But you know, you and I both know what gangsters look like, and he's not a gangster. But you know, that was her description of it, and she kind of separates herself.
And we got Ziggy V in here. She talked to Grandis quite a bit, and she's saying that Grandma told me that she didn't go with them at the swimming hole. Did she say where she went or what she was doing, Ziggy V? Thank you for your comment.
From him, because she later tells us that, yeah, in fact, you know, he did have a alcohol tea, and the boy admitted that, yeah, she got me a tea, you know, one of those alcohol drinks, and some vapes and that kind of stuff. And so she kind of, you know, didn't want to go there because I thought he was, because he's a minor, and she's, you know, she and her friend, his mother, you know, had just had a recent falling out. So, you know, she plays it off really well that, you know, we're just down there taking TikTok videos, waiting for the hospital situation to resolve itself, i.e. the prescription. And then from there, we're going to leave. So she did post up on
right here,
TikTok,
yeah, little pedal.
a picture of the child
I guess
swimming.
they've all died now, but.
Okay. And where's Grandma?
Mom's standing right here.
Okay.
And I'm over here close to the edge just because Summer's in the water.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Sure.
my thing.
Okay.
And that is exactly right. Crimes have consequences. Ziggy V said she was tired and she went home and took a nap. See, the thing is about that is she would have either had to have her own vehicle if that happened, or Candace would have had to have taken her back. Now, the timeline of that morning, remember, from 8 o'clock till 10 or 11, that's a lot of time. And everyone always wondered what was really happening during that time. And she could have taken Grandis back home and taken a nap, you know, take a nap or whatever. And you're right, crimes have consequences. If Grandis wasn't there, it would have been Candace, H, and Summer, which is all we see in that TikTok photo. That's all we see is Candace, Summer, and H. It's weird. Very weird. Mom standing there was sort of, well, it just never, I can't imagine Grandis, if she's feeling bad, sitting in the hospital, wanting to go swimming, fishing, you know, riding around town, going to a grocery store. Like, you're not going to feel like doing that.
And she's just playing, you know, like a normal kid would play in the water. And then Hunter came from wherever he was and come down here.
Grandis is not in that TikTok video. If Grandis was around there, Candace would have definitely shoved a camera in her face.
And was standing here. I don't want to get all wet, but
yeah.
He was like standing here, and someone was out a little bit further. They were pretty far apart from like me and your wife is.
Okay. Is that the TikTok video you took?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can see how far they were apart.
Yeah, I can see it. Right.
And with him sitting there saying that she fell on a rock, there's no rock. Where do you see a rock?
Right. Yeah, the only rocks I saw were right over here.
Yeah,
and then up there.
Yeah, they're way over there, and I'm right here.
Okay. So this is where she is, though.
Yeah, this is where she is right here.
Okay. And how is she? What's her behavior?
She's jumping around, splashing, having a good time.
Summer.
Just like Summer would always do.
Okay.
I mean, that's how all my kids are.
Okay.
They just splash around and have a good time.
Does she go underwater at any time that you see?
Oh, she just dips her head in, but sticks it right back up. I mean, it was only up to here at the time.
Where did this idea of under the
That's
water, where's that
come
from?
from?
Okay.
That just blew my mind when I heard that. I was like, she didn't even go into, because when she was playing water, I was literally taking the TikTok video just to watch, you know, and I did different things because that's how TikTok is. You can do different things with them.
Right.
And I was just taking TikTok video, and he come up out of there somewhere, and I was like, just splashed around.
How inappropriate is that for a woman to take one of her children and another child that is not even remotely the same age as Summer to a place like this alone? And then buy him alcohol. And then buy him vapes. Very inappropriate.
And then he threw up gang signs.
Do you know them?
No, I have no idea who that is.
Okay.
And then he started throwing up gang signs, and I'm like, so I moved it back away from him as quick as I could, and I was videoing them flowers, and then back at Summer again real quick. And then he decided to get in the water right there, and he went like this with the water a couple times. I told him, please stop that. She don't like to be splashed.
Okay.
And so he quit and got out. And I said, come on, Summer, we got to go get Grandma's prescription. And we just got back in the truck and left.
Okay, so
we went to the hospital.
Right.
And picked up my mom.
Right.
And then we stopped at the smoke shop, and I got Mom that twisted tea that she wanted. And then I stopped at the hippie house and got me some smoked nicotine vapes, is what I got.
Okay. What flavor?
I think they were Skittles.
Okay.
Because that's kind of like.
Wait, do they have like a different flavor?
They actually taste like Skittles.
Okay.
It's the only kind I'll buy.
Okay.
And then we left from there, and we went straight down to Walgreens, and we went to the drive-thru.
Ooh, I'm getting old. Candace, I got to put my glasses back on. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
But after we were done at the hippie house, I think we bought 3 of them, I think. I believe. And I set them right there on the console.
You know, she's getting ready to lie like a rug to Chris right now. Oh, thank you, Carrie Hall. Hi, Justin Love. All you do for Summer, but the lies need to stop. Summer needs to be found. Summer deserves the truth. I agree. Tell the truth. Can. Tell the truth. Don Grandis.
And he asked one, and I said, no, you can't have none.
Did he take one?
I don't know.
Okay.
Honest to God, I don't know.
Okay.
But then we went to the Walgreens and dropped off Mom's prescription. I said, well, if we got to wait 30 minutes, why don't we just bring Summer down here and let her play for a little bit?
Okay.
And that's what we did.
Okay.
I mean, there was nothing. I honestly didn't see him drink nothing down here. I don't know what he's talking about. I really don't.
All right. So it's your word against his, basically.
Pretty much.
Okay. On this scenario right here. Okay. So from here, where do you guys go?
Walgreens to pick up my mom's prescription.
Okay, is that the Walgreens right down at the
Yeah,
edge
it's
here?
right straight across.
It's the
from here.
one that I showed the other day that it's right down here?
Yeah, when we turned to come down here,
Yeah.
it's right down the corner.
Okay, you get mom's prescription.
Yep.
Then what happens?
Then I told mom, I said, why don't we get a Sonic?
Okay.
Because it's hot out.
Right.
So we drove in there, got a Sonic.
Right across the street.
Yep, right across the street.
Okay.
And then we left from there, and I went up Moreland Drive because I had to pick up a few things. I was in the store for maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
Grabbed some milk and some cheese, and I don't remember what else I bought.
Okay. And that's the food lush?
No,
or
priceless.
Priceless. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then I was like, Hunter, you're not coming to the house. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going back to your house.
Okay.
And I took him back to his house and dropped him off and left. And Summer was still awake when I left his house.
Okay. Okay.
And Allie did never walk to the truck and try to talk to me or
okay.
I tried to get her to come over and talk to me, but she wouldn't.
Okay. Where does from here when you left here, okay, and you went to Sonic, like you mentioned, what flavors do you buy? Do you remember?
I think I got me and Mom a grape.
Is that your favorite?
My mom.
Is that
Summer.
your
Summer got a
favorite?
grape. Well, that's my favorite. I don't remember what Mom got.
Very good. I think she did say that, didn't she? Let me back that up just a second. I was in the store.
What's prescription?
Yep.
Then what happens?
Then I told Mom, I said, why don't we get a Sonic?
Okay.
Because it's hot out.
Right.
So we drove in there, got a Sonic.
Right across the street.
Yep, right across the street.
Okay.
And then we left from there, and I went up Moreland Drive because I had to pick up a few things. I was in the store for maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
Grabbed some milk and some cheese, and I don't remember what else I bought.
Okay. And that's the food lush.
Yep, I was in the store maybe 5 minutes. Well, Grandis was supposed to go, wasn't she? Wasn't she? Because everybody wondered, why would Grandis want to go in there? You know, she don't feel good. She says, I was in the store. H says an hour, maybe longer. On my timeline, I've got it as about 35 minutes. I don't think it was 5 minutes at all. And to me, if it was 5 minutes, it makes Candace's timeline look even worse, really.
No,
Or
priceless.
Priceless. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then I was like, Hunter, you're not coming to the house. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going back to your house.
Okay.
That's an interesting thing she says there too. Hunter, you're not coming to my house, but you're going back to your house. Nobody asked her.
And I took him back to his house and dropped him off and left. And Summer was still awake when I left his house.
Okay. Okay.
And Allie did never walk to the truck and try to talk to me or
okay.
Mom. I tried to get her to come over and talk to me, but she wouldn't.
Okay. Where does from here when you left here, okay, and you went to Sonic, like you mentioned, what flavors do you buy? Do you remember?
I think I got me and Mom a grape.
Is that your favorite?
My mom.
Is that
Summer.
Is that your
Summer got a
favorite?
grape. Well, that's my favorite. I don't remember what Mom got. She got it's like a cool water or something like that.
Okay.
And then Hunter, I think, wanted the blue one, I think.
Okay, is that the slushy?
Yeah.
Okay.
The slushies. I don't really.
Did you buy food?
Nope.
Just the slushies?
Just the slushies.
Okay. Then what happened?
And then we left from there, went to Priceless, and I wasn't even in there 5 minutes.
Okay.
Grabbed my milk, come right back out the door, and he was sitting there playing on TikTok like he always does.
Okay.
I mean, and then for him to sit there and say that he doesn't even make TikToks, I have on my phone personally, I can show you where he's made TikToks.
Okay.
Honest to God.
There was.
All right. So she says here that she comes out and he's making TikToks.
Right, I hope you've given
I think she says anything about Summer there or Grandis.
it to the officials, right?
No, actually, it's still on my phone. I haven't had a chance because I was going to talk to them Tuesday when I went back to town.
Okay,
I got some business I got to take care of.
Got it.
I don't know why it fast forwards. It goes really quick. Sometimes it's done that recently. Glad to be a member. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you, November Rain, for 10 months. God bless you. I really, really do appreciate your subscription. Thank you. Didn't feed Summer all day. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. At all. All right, let's see what I was going to read.
Okay.
I mean, and then for him to sit there and say that he doesn't even make TikToks, I have on my phone personally, I can show you where he's made TikToks.
Okay.
Honest to God.
I hope you've given it to the officials, right?
No, actually, it's still on my phone. I haven't had a chance because I was going to talk to them Tuesday when I went back to town.
Okay.
Oh, so Tuesday, whenever it's convenient at her leisure convenience, she's going to take that phone back to them. Candace, did you ever take that phone back? Did you? Whenever, it's not like she's got a daughter missing or anything, right? Lisa, she made up some BS story that she gave Summer hot dogs that morning before she left at like 7:30 in the morning. I guess she was making hot dogs for Summer and the kids before she left.
Okay, got it.
She was putting her bathing suit on, her and her clothes, and getting Grandis ready to go to the ER.
Got some business I got to take care of.
Got it. Roger that. So from there, you go back to Hunter's house.
I drop him off.
Explain the milk. The picture of
The milk, it was sitting right there beside Summer.
Okay.
Because when I handed it to Hunter in the car, he was on the outside.
Oh.
I said, Hunter, put this on the other side of Summer. I just set it over there.
Okay.
And she was wide awake sitting up.
Okay.
Like, she didn't go to sleep until after we left town.
Did she change clothes?
Yeah, I changed the clothes because when I have the windows down, it could be 100 degrees. I'll have all the windows up. Roll up the window, Mommy, I'm cold. And she not be cold, but I still do it.
Is that part of Summer's
That's
personality?
just Summer.
Tell me.
So remember, they were walking down here, and it's going to be hot outside. So she's going to, put that bathing suit on her. She knows because Summer stays hot all the time. And now in the evening, Summer's cold. No. Don't believe it. Something's wrong. She can't remember the slushy grandma got her because she was there. I think she wasn't there. H wasn't in the car while they were shopping. You mean grocery shopping? I think some of this stuff happened that day, and some of this stuff, particularly after they get home, I think it is all, in my opinion, just about every bit of it fabricated. You think it's possible that this was... I don't think so, personally, no. I don't think so. I think there was either some sort of accident or Summer could have gotten one of them in trouble through CPS, something, and that's what Dr. Gary talks about too. Thank you, T-Love. God bless you, dear.
Tell me about Summer.
Tell you about.
I want to know about Summer.
She's a happy little girl.
Okay.
She's the best little girl anybody could imagine. Just like, well, I don't really want to say her name.
Yeah, don't say her name.
But, happy-go-lucky. Nothing ever brings her down hardly.
Mm-hmm. Today's a tough day for you, I can tell.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's been tough lately.
Tell me about that.
Every time I look around, I see her face.
Okay. Oh, wow. I had no idea this was happening here. None.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
Listen to
did
this.
you catch what I saw?
Well,
The dr-
you mean where just this second where you turned around? Oh, you mean
no,
what
no,
did you detect in the conversation?
yeah, how the
Tell me,
the
and I'll tell you.
volume, the tone shifted,
Yeah,
her voice drops, and what happened was there was a couple of cars that pulled up behind us
right.
that were doing some search and rescue stuff, and she thought that I had set it up that she would be there when they came down to do search and rescue, and I had no idea that those people were going to be there
Right.
because I felt at that moment she was turning a corner here in relationship to wanting to, uh, tell us a little bit more.
I got kind of interrupted by this chance event.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So search and rescue came there, and Chris is saying that, Candace thought, he set it up, and Chris is like, he had no idea. But that was the moment, she was starting to, her mood, her attitude was coming down. Look at the worry on her face when she saw them pull up. Why did she get so scared if she knows nothing? Look at her face there. Look where I didn't mean to pause it like that, but she's like looking over.
I mean, it came across watching this that you suspected that she had something of which she wished to unburden herself, and that it was interrupted by these people showing up. I do want to say though that people who are familiar with me and my work know that I coined the term elimination murder, right? And that was my term for where an individual has a motive for eliminating a person, usually an intimate, because they are a witness to something. They're an impediment to a financial windfall. They're an impediment to a romance, whatever. They have to eliminate the person, and they come up with these ridiculous cover stories that don't add up because the people who do these things don't tend to be particularly sophisticated. And one of the really interesting things about contemporary elimination murders, when I've studied them, is that when people concoct these ridiculous stories, they tend to use to take advantage of things that will have timestamps, like TikTok videos. So that the idea is that you can say, well, I can show you where I was. Look at the time look where we were at this, whatever. And so when people come up with those stories, now I cannot say, of course, that that's what's going on here. I'm simply saying, as food for thought, that when people come up with, they concoct stories like that, there's a lot of that, like, it was 12:01 when I called the police and requested an ambulance, and there's a timestamp. I was I know, and they'll always say, well, I can prove I was there because, there's a camera on the corner of such and such, and it's such an immediate.
Notice how Don, whenever he's telling this story, he will always say the first 1 to 2 sentences, I was at work. Always says that. He can be, it can be like, Summer's favorite color was purple. I was at work. It's just instant off of him. If he is talking about it, I was at work. And, Dr. Gary, he's talking about people with contemporary eliminate murders who, if someone, they happen to unalive someone for whatever reason, they they set up the timestamps.
Thought that you think, is that why you did it on that corner? Because you knew there was a camera that would prove your location? Because you knew that so that I always get kind of interested in people that do these things where a portion of their whereabouts are on tape or whatever, because they happen to be using a technology or something that's going to record that, and that they point that out to you. It's fascinating to me. But I just put that out there as an interesting food for thought. I mean, doesn't that occur to you as interesting?
Absolutely. And in fact, both parties, unfortunately, have projected those types of, timelines, i.e., I was at this place at a certain time, yada, yada. And, what's the old saying, right? Go ask the blind man, he saw it, right? We used to, as when somebody would come in and they'd sit in the lobby, and then you'd interview the subject and they would go, well, you can ask Frank, he's sitting in the lobby, he can verify everything I'm telling you here. So, but in this particular moment, I noticed a stark shift in her, not only in her, her facial features. I mean, she just 100% started to drift down. And I think for a moment there, she thought, she couldn't trust me for that minute there. And so just real fast, you'll see her.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
She's almost locked in.
I don't know what else I can tell you.
Well, help me understand.
And then immediately shifts away.
Did you notice that shift? Did you notice that shift? She's literally locked in, looking over Chris, and her body posture changes, and her arm gets stiff. I don't know what else I can tell you. She goes right back. Watch this.
We used to, as when somebody would come in and they'd sit in the lobby, and then you'd interview the subject and they would go, well, you can ask Frank, he's sitting in the lobby, time. I noticed, I think for a moment there, she was away from her daughter in the conversation. I mean, she was thinking about her daughter. In full transparency, the individuals that were searching were contacted by Robin, who was there, but she was away walking the dog, just kind of leaving.
Tell me about those dynamics that day. Take me back to that day. Yeah, on the way home.
On the way home, well, we were just sitting there talking, me and Mom, about everything, pretty much trees, flowers, rocks, whatever Mom likes, pretty much we talked about. And I was like,
I mean, do you see a shift in her personality? She goes right from something's wrong with my, up here with my daughter to, oh yeah, we were, we're back into rocks and stuff. And I mean, am I missing something there?
I mean, it's complicated because, as I mentioned earlier, this is a common thing that gets pointed out, like the mismatch between affect and what a person's talking about, and they're talking about the disappearance of their child, whatever. But the problem is that we must remember that when people
they did find a horse when they were searching for Summer. They did excavate that horse, and they did dig several feet below the horse as well, just to make sure. And EquiSearch said that
people lose a child or experience some other kind of traumatic event, it can flatten and dissociate them, right? So that their affect can be a mismatch. At the same time, I mean, I see what you're talking about. That there's something that's kind of off about the the transitions and the way that it's being talked about and all that. It is intriguing, to be sure. Let me put it that way. But I don't think we can make a leap about why it's a little strange. But also, I just want to say quickly, I remember reading earlier when we were talking about this case. I looked on some website that gave all the information on the case, and it said that police, law enforcement, etc., FBI, had actually looked at all of the electronics of the family members, including social media, where they were, timestamps, content, etc., and also like surveillance cameras and things like that. And I think that's interesting if the idea is it's a random abductor, right? It's kind of interesting. I mean, I assume you're aware, Chris, that it's out, that it's public knowledge that they looked at that stuff.
Yeah,
They looked
they
at
found nothing. Yeah.
right. That's interesting too. Right.
Yeah.
Found nothing on surveillance cameras. Or found nothing on because I don't think we know the results of computer devices and phones and things taken from family, do we? I don't think
No.
that's been reported.
Right.
But according to what I read, they were taken and examined
Yes.
and documented. Well, that's interesting. So do you know when we'll find out if there was anything on there of value?
I think it'll be released to the public probably after an arrest, and if not in court at that point.
But I think
You
you'd
know,
agree that's pretty important information because of the point that
absolutely.
if you don't have any evidence of an abduction, I mean, obviously that's something. And of course, if people are innocent, they would be more than happy to turn those things over. And so hopefully that's what happened. There was a lot of cooperation. People are looking. Nothing will turn up, but then we'll be left with a mighty mysterious case here.
Yeah, and
But
this is one of the things. Remember when I
yeah,
asked her about, where that phone is? Have you given it to the authorities yet? And she
right.
says no.
That's why I'm partly why I'm asking because I heard
Yeah.
her say that it's right.
Yeah, so I thought that was problematic at that moment as well. But I want to get to the second shift in her behavior, because what happened was she literally got to a place where she was just full on crying, and she looks at me, and I, out of respect for her at the time, I did, in retrospect, I look back and realized I'd made a mistake, but at the time, she looks at me and she goes, Chris, she goes, I really feel that God is mad at me. And she sits down and
That's really
has this pure meltdown.
That's interesting. And I don't think Chris had ever shared that until recently. Chris says that she's, sits down and there's this pure meltdown. And I really feel like God is mad at me. Now, when she says that, that makes me think of an accident. That makes me, or maybe not so much. Yes, an accident, but in another aspect, maybe not. Just whatever happened, and she knows, that could be, that's guilt, some sort of guilt.
And I thought, okay, there's something more here. She's going to say something that, she felt safe with me at that moment. And unfortunately, we didn't get to, it didn't present itself.
What's Summer doing? She's like, oh, she fell asleep.
So saying God is mad at you. Well, if, for instance, you have a child and the child is going, the child, gets abducted, you would think, God would be mad at the person that took the child. Not so much the parent, because the parent is innocent in this. But she's saying she feels like God is mad at her. It's very interesting.
I was like, oh, how's she sleeping? And when I look back, because I'm driving, and I look back like this, she had her arms up like this, like her daddy sleeps all the time.
Okay.
So I wanted to catch.
Look at this. She's way too animated here, I think, and I think it's pure lies.
That moment.
Okay.
It's just things I do.
Right.
And I was like, here, Mom, hurry up, take that picture. And then she accidentally hit the video record.
Okay.
Instead of the picture part.
Okay.
So like, did you catch it? She like, No, I accidentally hit the video part.
That's what you get for handing grandma the camera.
Yeah, well, I was driving though.
Okay.
And I was like, did you put her arm back down? She's like, yeah. I was like, dang. And then she got a picture of her, but by that time her arm was down. But her arm was up most of the time like this.
That is not a natural way to sleep while you're in a car sleeping. You know, your arms naturally go down because of gravity and you're asleep. We talked about that yesterday. Lisa, Equisearch said that on his channel. I can find it.
Right.
And we were like 2 minutes from the house when she took her arm down.
Okay.
And then when we got to the house, we unlocked the gate, went up, and I woke her up. She got up, I unbuckled her, she got out of the car. We went and grabbed the boys from the house to come help us with the groceries.
Yep.
Because I always have them come help me do something.
And now, who was home when you got home?
My 3 sons.
Okay. And how old's your oldest?
He'll be 13 in September.
Okay. So was he babysitting?
Well, technically they weren't really. They were watching TV and sleeping at the same time.
Okay.
And I was just going to run out for a second, and we never even planned. I didn't even plan for Hunter to even be with us that day at all.
Got it.
He just called and was like, want to come over for a second? I was like, yeah, I'll come over for a second, but I got to get right back to Mom. And that was all it was a quick second thing.
Got it.
A quick second thing that started texting back and forth at about 9 o'clock in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. Quick second thing that they went multiple stops and swimming. Quick second thing, according to Candace. Gotcha.
And he's like, Mom, can I go with them? I'm like sitting there shaking my head like this, and I was like, I don't care. So I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
You know, I didn't even think nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? I always take them kids.
Okay, so right here, she says she's sitting there looking at Allie, and Allie's like, I don't care. But Allie did not see Candace that morning. Remember, Allie was in the bathroom sleeping on the toilet. Just caught that.
And that was all it was a quick second thing.
Got it.
And he's like, Mom, can I go with them? I'm like sitting there shaking my head like this, and I was like, I don't care. So I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
You know, I didn't even think nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? I always take them kids. Every time they call me and ask me, come get me, I always come get them because their mom don't do nothing with them.
Okay.
She just sits there.
That seems to be the difference between you and Allie. You guys have a difference in terms of...
And that was all it was a quick second thing.
Got it.
And he's like, Mom, can I go with them? I'm like sitting there shaking my head like this, and I was like, I don't care. So I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
You know, I didn't even think nothing of it. You know.
So how did Candace and Allie didn't see each other? They were fighting, remember?
I'm saying? I always take them kids. Every time they call me and ask me, come get me, I always come get them because their mom don't do nothing with them.
Okay.
She just sits there.
That seems to be the difference between you and Allie. You guys have a difference in terms of what you say you do and what she says she does, right? There's always that. It seems to be a conflict.
Conflict somewhere.
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead. Finish your
But
thought.
I'm always taking the kids like it was, I want to say like 3-4 months ago. I went over to Allie's and I asked Allie if she wanted her and the kids wanted to go up to, I want to call it Ducktown because that's where we planned on going, was Ducktown. And she's like, no, I'm going to sleep, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right. And Hunter's like, well, can I go? And Allie's like, yeah, go ahead. So we took him up to Ducktown with us and stuff and brought him back, and everything was fine. I thought we were good friends, but I guess she's trying to get back at me for some reason. I don't know.
Those are reasons that...
They're beyond me.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
And you know what? That's not from me, right? That's let the authorities figure that out. You know what I mean? You know what I
That's
mean?
why I didn't really want to do an interview, because I'm not trying to fight this.
Right.
Her say something, then I say,
Right.
I'm not into all that game.
I'm here to help find your daughter.
I want to find Summer. I don't even care about anybody else's bullcrap. I want to find my daughter.
I do too. Okay.
That's all this matters to me.
I totally agree. I totally agree that I'm on that same page with you. All these people, I'm sure, are on the exact same page as well. I think you know that, right?
Yeah.
So walk me through when you got home.
Okay.
You unload the grocery. What exactly is going down there?
Well, I'm like, I bring my kids out, and we all unload the groceries, but we all go in my house first because we sort out my mom's groceries from her groceries.
Okay.
We always do.
Yeah.
And we did that, and Mom walked back across, and me and Summer were putting groceries away, and watching TV off and on, and just chilling with the boys, hanging out, and then we decided to do some laundry, because laundry, my kids, they got 80 pairs of pants, 80 pairs, each one of them.
Okay.
Got to do laundry that day, huh? Got to do laundry. Interesting.
So, doing laundry at my house is like
A job, right?
It's a job.
Right. Do you have a bulldozer?
No. Sometimes I wish I did.
Okay.
No, that's just joking.
Got it. That's okay.
But
You're doing laundry.
doing laundry and stuff, and kids are all sitting there watching TV, chilling. And I stepped down, and I noticed Mom was sitting on the step, and her step is like literally from here to that tree, from my doorstep.
Okay.
I can literally walk over and be right there.
Okay.
And she's like looking around. I was like, "What's your problem?" She's like, "We got to get these plants transplanted into bigger pots."
Okay.
And
Do y'all think Grandis, after having her knee, being in the emergency room, not feeling good, do you think she's going to care about planting a cactus? Because I don't think that's the least thing she's going to be worried about, is planting a damn cactus. First of all, a cactus can live outside of dirt for a long time. Doesn't make sense. This story is bullshit, in my opinion.
And
Now you're sitting on the front porch, or where you all?
No, I'm not sitting. I'm
Are you in the
standing.
house?
No. She's sitting on our camper step right there. And,
Okay.
and the flowers are here on both sides.
Okay.
And I'm just standing there. We're just talking. And she's like, "We got to get these transplanted." I was like, "All right, well." She goes, "Well, we know the boys ain't going to help because they don't like to do flowers."
Yeah. Well, boy does, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, "But I know someone that will." So I ran back in the house and I grabbed Summer. She was sitting in the kitchen playing with her what are them? Little short guys with the big eyeballs.
Okay.
And I was like, "Summer, you want to plant flowers? Me and Grandma plant
Is that the
rocks?"
LOL things? Are they?
No, they're not.
like
She didn't really like LOLs.
Okay.
She didn't care for those. No, I don't know what they're called. They're all kinds of different characters, like
Okay.
different animals, but they got big eyes.
Okay.
I think those little toys there were probably already there, or they were planted there to make it look like Summer had been there. My opinion.
She liked them, so I bought them for her. And she was sitting there, I was like, "Summer, you want to do some flower planting and stuff?" She jumped up faster than anybody I've seen jump up. She's like, "Pretty flowers?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go over to Grandma's."
She jumped up. Yeah, they had a washer and dryer. They didn't have a full-size refrigerator, but they had a washer and dryer. She jumped up.
Plant flowers. Transplant is what we did. And so we did that, and I don't know, it took us a while. Probably 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. I don't know. We're not real fast people. We don't.
Okay. You're
pretty
Tennessee.
much. Me and Mom drink Mountain Dew.
Okay.
That's what we do. We drink Mountain Dew. Yep. And
Yeah, so according to Candace and them, it took them about 45 minutes to plant a damn cactus with some rocks on it. Now, I have a greenhouse. I plant, that's all I do all spring and summer long. I live for it. If it takes you 45 or 50 minutes, something is wrong. This is filler. It's something to add to the story, in my opinion, to fill in some time and just to make a story.
Summer, we got done. We washed our hands real quick, went in Grandma's house, and she asked Grandma for a piece of candy. She always does.
Okay.
And of course, Grandma gives it to her.
Sure.
And she wanted a piece of candy, so Grandma gave it to her. We were sitting there for about, 5-10 minutes maybe at the most. And she was, Mom, I want to go back to the house with my brothers. I was like, all right. So I got up and I walked her back across to where I could literally see her walking to my doorstep.
Okay.
And she
front door, back door?
No, it's, well, I don't know if you want to call it the front door or back door, because I don't really consist which way.
Which door is it? Yeah. And some of the pictures I see, there's a door around the bottom and the back.
Not the basement door. I call it the kitchen door, is what I call it.
Okay.
And she walked in there, and there's a scaffolding that we have for steps. The yellow and black scaffolding we have for steps.
Which Dudley talked about those scaffolding. They're very dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
And I put my hand on the scaffolding. I said, boys, watch Summer. I'll be right back. And I had to go over and help Mom. She was still sitting over there. And I had to go and get her knee brace and fix it for her.
Now, why are you going to tell the boys to watch your sister? She's inside. She's 5 years old. She can talk. She can verbalize anything she wants. You're just literally strapping a knee brace, according to Candace, which personally I don't think it happened, but we're going to go with her story. She's strapping a knee brace. She's there with her brothers. The front door is open. Doesn't make sense.
Twisted crap.
Okay.
So sorry about the wind, but one of the interesting things there, she adds a timeline of 30, 45 minutes into the laundry detail, right?
Right. Which
And
comes
then she,
across that. Right. Yeah.
right. And then she adds another 10, whatever it is, 15 minutes. So that's like 55 minutes that she's at least projecting here that she's at the house. Summer, wants to come out, play, pick up flowers with her and or grandma, and she's there just kind of, I guess, watching it allegedly. Then at that point, Summer decides, Mom, I want to go back into the house and play with my brothers. And so she decides, well, I guess I'll escort her to the house. So what are you thinking? When you hear, I'm not buying it. I'm being honest.
I can tell that.
Well, that's exactly right, September Virgo. Why? I mean, why do you need to watch her? She's in her own home. She's in her own home. It just doesn't add up. Doesn't add up, in my opinion.
That you don't buy it. I thought there was a very interesting little accidental moment there where you said, do you have a bulldozer? Which of course took on a double meaning if you don't believe anything she's saying. And her answer is, sometimes I wish I did.
Yes.
Which is kind of fascinating, right? If but anyway, but it sort of comes across like it was that moment where you stepped out of the conversation and said, do either of us believe anything that we're saying right now? Right. And which is very, very interesting, but of course we can't tell, I can't say for sure what's going on, but I do think it comes across like a person who is making just an opinion, making a gallant effort to attempt to account for time in a way that starts to not add up to the average individual. And the other thing that's very strange is it comes across like somebody that is going out of their way to paint the picture of, we were really loving as a family, pretty flowers and playing in the water, and grandma comes and is going to go out in the yard. But you look at that house and
right? Grandma's picking, trying to pick roses at the watering hole. We're TikToking, picking grandma's necessary medication up. We went to the grocery store to get, wholesome food. Went and got some slushies. Then went home, wanted to plant some flowers, the flowers again. And he mentions there's a lot of flowers involved in this story, right? I, made sure Summer washed her hands, got a peppermint, visited grandma's for about 10 or 15 minutes. Summer said I wanted to go home and, go inside the house. She wanted to play with her toys. So I walked over there, put my arm on the scaffolding and said, "Boys, watch your sister." No. This is Candace we're talking about. Candace. It's just not who she is.
It looks like, Yucca Flats after the blast. It looks like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't exactly give a vibe warm and toasty. You wouldn't want to go to camp there or something. So that what I think is it's strange because it sounds like somebody attempting to make something.
Well, Pickle Toad Grandma says, "I'm 81 years old. I have a knee brace, and it's not that hard to put on at all. Velcro straps. You wrap it around your leg. It's just like Velcro straps on a shoe, but you wrap it around your leg. You put it through the plastic, and you strap. Exactly, Pickle Toad's Grandma. It's BS.
Sound rosy. That is absolutely horrifying. Also, isn't it interesting how many times flowers are referenced over and over and over in so many different ways? And she even has one on her arm. She has a tattoo of one on her arm. But it's like thematically, like if you were to do like a word count, that keeps coming up. It's like a obsessional theme over and over again. And I don't know what that's about. But even resurrection, by the way, has that same theme, right? Put it in the ground and it. But there's something about that gives me the creeps about that preoccupation with planting
Flowers.
and burying things and whatever. Anyway, gives me the creeps. But it comes up over and over and over and over and over. I mean, every single time she's talking, I'm like keeping a mental count of it. And it's just a hovering on that theme. I don't know what that's about, but didn't you say all the flowers are like kind of dead and corroded at that house? It doesn't look like a flower lover's.
Well, I mean, landscaping was not their main concern on 110 Ben Hill, right? They didn't mow the grass a lot of the times. The grass would be so high. Jose said when he got there, the grass was extremely high, and since then it's, been high before. I mean, let's look at this right here. Does that look like, the wholesome, watch Summer, boys. I'll be back in a moment. Grandma just gave her a mint. Dr. Gary said, "Didn't you say the flowers were all dead and corroded?" Yeah. This is Summer's room. I mean, the roaches and the rats in that house is unbelievable.
garden
No,
there.
they're not.
And there was no
They-
flower bed or anything, right? It's just like a couple
No.
of pots. No.
Yeah,
Sorry.
with rocks and the majority of it weeds, you know.
Hmm.
And so, and her sister's name was Rose, too,
Oh.
by the way.
Oh, really? Well, there's something thematically interesting about that. I can't put my finger on what it is, but when people tell a story, particularly if it's an untrue story, and we don't know if that's what's going on here, they have a tendency to kind of adhere to a theme and obsessionally stick to it over and over and over and over. And I'm just intrigued by that. That sounds like, that's my story and I'm sticking to it kind of a thing. But you can tell that you don't believe this story.
Right.
You're very
because
kind.
of course it presented itself very, one of the biggest challenges, obviously, that I think looking at this through the investigator's lens has been the consistency of the basic tenets of the story, right?
Right.
Flowers, grandma, she left my sight. She said hi to the boys, or, went downstairs, and I went in, where's Summer? And she's downstairs. I went over, looked downstairs, yelled her name. She didn't respond. Boom, she's gone, vanished.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an odd story. Yeah.
Right. And let me show you, let me get to one other part here, because we see
5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not a time person. Never have been.
5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. I'm not a time person. Forget about it. 5 minutes, throws her hands up. 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm not a time person. This is so frustrating.
See, and there she references back to not being a time person, but just before that, she knew it was 30 to 45 minutes to do the laundry.
Okay. Yeah. 30 to 45 minutes to do the laundry. Things that, aren't really that important. She knows the times too. But the things that, pertain to her missing daughter is don't know. Not a time person. You can't buy a knee brace. You have to be measured. Well, I mean, there are knee braces like you can buy on Amazon, but like a professional knee brace, you gotta, they measure them for you and stuff. They can be calling a wrap a knee brace as well, Yeah, phones have clocks on them. You would think you would be using your head a little bit harder for your missing child. But remember, Don and Candace are not cooperating with their daughter's investigation. Which to me, in my opinion, says regardless if they're innocent. If they're innocent, it just shows that they're really crappy people, in my opinion. If you're innocent and you're not cooperating with your daughter's investigation, it just means you don't give a flying freak about it. And if you're guilty, well, that's why you're not properly cooperating.
Okay, when I first asked her, what time did you get home? She goes, I don't know, it was blah, blah, blah. She's all over the map. And then she wants to pinpoint a specific time frame, which to your point earlier, okay, she says, oh yeah, 30 to 45 minutes we did the laundry. And yet when I say we're talking about how long was the child out of your...
Yes, that is true. Crime has consequences. Don said he never saw a knee brace.
site, she goes, I don't know, I'm not a time person. Okay.
Right.
So that's kind of like,
well, she's right. I was thinking that earlier, that there was a contradiction in going out of your way to say I'm not a time person, but then obsessively accounting for minutes as if you're sitting there with a with a stopwatch in your head.
exactly.
Going, it took 31 minutes to do this and 15 minutes to do that. It almost sounds like somebody said, memorize this. And if anybody
Right.
asks you to give this information, here's what you say, And doesn't it come across that way to you?
Very scripted. I have felt that the story was scripted, and grandmother,
Who's the
kind of
script writer?
confirm. Well, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Hmm.
It's definitely not a stranger, in my opinion.
Okay.
And next thing I know, I said, Mom, I'm going back over with the kids, chill and hang out, whatever. And I freaking asked her brothers, well, where'd your sister go? She was just right.
See, what was interesting about that, she qualifies that statement by saying, next thing I know. Okay. Now, you and I both know in a traumatic event that when you are living that tunnel vision where everything is slowing down and everything is reliving itself, okay, I mean, those are like really narrow walls that are right there. And typically you don't hear that comment of, well, the next thing I know, I've often heard, and you keep me on the right lane here, Doc, is, well, this is what happened. And I mean, I can tell you, as you know, when my son passed away, I was in Disneyland when I got the phone call from the cops that my son had died. I can tell you every moment exactly where I was standing and all of.
I know I've talked, Brandy, I consider her a friend, and we talk quite a bit. And she can tell you every second about that day. From the moment she got that call to on the way home, talking to the neighbors, what she did, where she went, everything. I can tell you, when my parents passed away, right? Like, I can tell you everything from the moment I got the call, or every single thing. Traumatic moments, you can usually recount them, and Candace can recount and give times for things that don't really, isn't really that big of a deal, but the things that are really a big deal, particularly after dropping H off, everything just goes haywire. Oh, big difference, Connie. Huge difference in the Wells and Monkey's parents. Huge difference. Not even.
And in this case, I was kind of measuring that against my own experience. Okay?
Yeah.
And when she made that comment, I thought, okay, there is a flag here, a red flag.
Here with you. Unless you want to go play with the toys downstairs, Mom. I think none of them, because that's where our room is. That's where her toys are.
Okay.
And after about a second, I didn't hear nothing down there. I was like, you sure she went downstairs? They're like.
So after a second, a whole second, this observant mother says, are you sure she went down there? So she was already suspecting something. Are you sure? Well, if you was outside and the front door was wide open and you were only gone 2 minutes, where else would she be? Where else would she be? In my opinion, she didn't go out the back door by her own accord or someone else grabbing her and running with her. But after a second of her coming back, are you sure she went down there?
Yeah, Mom, she went downstairs.
Okay.
And my boys do not lie to me.
Yeah, Mom, she went downstairs. And my boys do not lie to me. Nobody asked you if they lied. We never asked you if you lied. You just completely volunteered that up, which to me lets me know that right there is bullshit, in my opinion. Complete bullshit. Complete.
So I went around because my stairs, my husband calls it a bar, but it's not really a bar. I call it a mess. We built it over the staircase. I guess you could call it a bar, but it's not really a bar.
Thank you so much, my love. I have 2 NDs in my 55 plus years, and both times I can tell you everything up until I lost consciousness. Near-death experiences is what NDE stand for, guys. In my 55 years, and I can tell you everything up until I lost consciousness. Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. I'd like to hear them sometimes. I watch a lot of near-death experiences on YouTube a lot. It's very interesting, fascinating.
We don't drink that much. So, but it was like where we put our TV stand, stuff like that. And I walked around because that's where the steps are hidden up underneath there. And I said, Summer. And she didn't answer me. I said, Summer, are you down there? And she didn't answer me. So I ran down the stairs pretty much. I was freaking out. I was like, why is she not answering?
Crumb says, then she said on Moo Moo Cows that she's scared of the stairs. Why, Candace? Crimes, do you mean Candace is scared of the stairs or Summer was? Yeah. He's like, so after a second, are you sure she went downstairs? Yeah, Mom, she went to go play with her toys. Oh, and my boys do not lie to me. So I yelled downstairs, Summer.
And I looked I blew up. I went everywhere looking for her. So I couldn't find her nowhere.
Okay. Then what happened?
She was just gone.
Okay.
She was just gone into nowhere. And I started tracing the property, going everywhere I could. I sent my boys down through we live on the hill, so it was down by the creek. Okay. I sent them all down through there looking and everything. I said, still didn't find her? And they said no. So I ran over and I freaked out. I called Donnie because that's what I do automatically. I freak out, You
called Donnie?
I called Donnie. I said, I cannot find Summer. Come home now. He's like, call the cops. So I threw my phone down on the back of his pickup.
So I threw my phone down on the back of his pickup, but my phone worked because I was calling Donnie. But I threw my phone down on the pickup and went to get Grandis's phone because my perfectly working phone that I just called needed to set on the tailgate of Don's truck.
Ran over to my mom, picked up her phone because it's the only.
Now, see, that's never made sense to me. She calls her husband on a very good phone, then throws it away and takes her mom's phone to call 911.
Right. But remember what I said earlier? If one is considering the possibility of a cover story, things that have timestamps are very important. So in a story like that, you're always going to say, "I called at this time," and then because the person has the sense that that's going to make the story seem more true, that you had an emotional reaction and you immediately called, and there's a trace of it, right? That kind of thing. So that people always go out of their way getting in these stories to say that, and then I picked up this phone and then I called, and but 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 explain. I think the point you just made is very important. So explain to the audience a little. I know what you mean, but tell the audience what you mean about why that didn't make sense.
Well, because, one, if later on, which by the way, it ended up happening, the description of, well, the phone wasn't working, so I had to use another phone. Okay.
Right.
Well, so right now there's, in this particular narrative, there's the ability to say, well, I threw that phone away. And so that could have
Right.
been the one that the cops wanted. And,
Right.
so she's just narrated into the story, the one that she hasn't turned over to the police at that particular point, which she related to us earlier on. That could
Right.
have been the one.
So then,
So
right, it's
yeah,
conspicuous.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, I like the way. So we've got a lot of questions that have come up here. So let me grab some of these, Doc. And are any other thoughts that have come to you? And by the way, we have a lot of members that have come up here tonight. Thank you guys so much for everything. Let's see here. They picked up her mom. Yeah, there's a lot of comments. They picked up her mom, went to the smoke shop. Thank you. Yeah, the sequence is important. They went to the swimming hole to pick up their mom. Yep, we got that. Thank you. And by the way, if you're listening, we have about 4,300 people. The lab is going to do a program tonight right after this. You guys are going to have to get over there after this. He's got some really interesting tapes that have surfaced, and that they're pretty interesting as a whole. But so right now, Doc, where this is standing is nobody's off the table at this point. There's no evidence, according to the law enforcement, that this is a random abduction.
Right.
Now, Casey Anthony, to help us understand the psychosis of that individual, even though she's been found not guilty at this point, right? If I remember right.
Right. But that is true. But when we think,
Whoops. Sorry, guys. Hold on 1 second. I was going to pause it there. Casey Anthony, I mean, to me, she is as guilty. She's not proven guilty. But she's as guilty as sin, if you ask me. Let me put this up here.
when we think about what she was accused of, right? Of course, the killing of one's own child, you get right into this point that I keep making about elimination murder. That in other words, when we are talking about the kind of story that is being given as a that possibly as a pretense or a speculation on the part of someone that this was some offender that came in and killed, that's a very different type of animal. That's the type of offender who is motivated purely by fantasy, sex drive, impulse, a personality that's going to keep doing something over and over and over again. But when you get sort of lower in the scale that I write about, you see people who have more situational reasons for committing an offense, right? And one of those reasons that's just at that sort of spillover point into being a kind of a full-blown psychopath is people who are willing to eliminate someone simply because that person is in the way. That person is an impediment. It doesn't matter if they're your own kid. If that person is a witness, is an impediment to the freedom of your future, knows too much, has marks on their body that would be incriminating, is keeping you from getting an inheritance. In the case of Susan Smith, keeping you from having a romance, right? You might not have fun. The idea would be that you would eliminate that person. And of course, because you're not a sophisticated offender that has done this repeatedly and learned from experience, you might Google around or something and learn about some basics of how crime operates. And you would cook up a cover story that was sort of ridiculous, and 9 times out of 10, the story is a person with no motive whatsoever wandered in and took this person off, and we never saw them again. They were gobbled up into the darkness. Oh, that somebody came in with a gun. They didn't rob anything, nothing. They just decided to kill this person for no reason, and I can't make any sense out of it. And the only reason that the public would even remotely consider the story true is they're unaware of that inside story of what it is that is being concealed, or what it is that would be gained by the elimination of the individual. And this is something that came up as a possible motive in the story of Casey Anthony, that this kid was an impediment that had to go, right? And so
I believe Casey Anthony did this, in my opinion, to her child because she wanted to party. She wanted to live the single life, even with her tattoo that she got. What is it? I forget what it said, but it means the life or something like that. Thank you, Connie. Appreciate you, my dear.
That is something that is always in the back of my mind when I hear about these mystery cases where somebody says must have been an abductor, but there's no evidence of an abductor. Then you start thinking, who would benefit from the elimination of this person, right? And there's only a few reasons why that could happen, right? The person knows too much, right? The person's an impediment to money that you are trying to get. The person's an impediment to a romance. You're sick and tired of taking care of them. Or another possibility is that you victimize them yourself.
Oh, you victimized him yourself.
And it went too far and something happened to the person, and now you've got to eliminate evidence. So that you start thinking.
And you've got to eliminate evidence. Could that be? Baby kisses, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. It's very kind of you. Bella Vita, The Good Life. Yes, thank you. Which is kind of always been my theory. Well, not always been my theory, but is one of my theories. If it's not an accident, then Summer had to be hidden, or something happened to her so that someone wouldn't get in trouble. Someone or someone's wouldn't get in trouble with CPS. You've got a father who is a sicko, in my opinion.
Thinking about those possibilities, and if they're true, then it suddenly makes everything that comes out of the mouth of the family very hideous, because it's a kind of a going out of your way to come across as the Brady Bunch, when in fact, the reality on the ground doesn't match that, right? And so, when I look at stories like this, I always keep a completely neutral stance, because it's entirely possible you're dealing with somebody who, honest to God, had their child taken and is devastated. And on the other hand, there's always the possibility that there's not truth to that, and you have to start wondering what really went on in there. I know from the little bit that I read before we had this conversation tonight about this case, I know that parents have been questioned, devices have been taken, sex offenders have also been questioned. In other words, everybody's on the table, so that it sounds like law enforcement wisely and publicly, because this is available all over the internet, are doing the same thing I'm suggesting. Look at it from all those angles and don't eliminate anybody because nothing's adding up. And I guess what I'm saying is that if you lean toward the maybe this is a cover-up story, it makes this whole conversation very disturbing that you just had.
It makes this whole conversation disturbing that you just had.
If you look at it from the lens of this is somebody who had their child taken from them, it's heartbreaking. So that, that I think we have to kind of be neutral in our stance. We can't make an accusation,
Right.
but it is intriguing to think about what would be the gain. There doesn't seem to be a gain. So if it's an elimination thing, what does that leave? That somebody is something's going on in that household where, and something happens to the kid and you got to get rid of them.
So they've looked at the card team. They check for stranger abductions. No sign of that. They have checked the house, the property, umpteen times. A 4 or 5 mile radius, which I showed you guys that the other day, with the best drones, searchers, helicopters, endless amounts of manpower and woman power. All of came up short. So, like Dr. Gary is saying here, what could have potentially been going on in that house? Thank you, Ziggy B. Thank you, my love. I appreciate you. It's very kind of you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for your comments, too. I don't know, but I think this boils down, in my opinion, to one of two things. And one is there was an accident of some sort, either at the swimming hole or in the car. She may have been left in the heat with a jacket on, or this boils down to CPS, which law enforcement says they are intertwined. Don fires his only employee that works with him every moment they're together at work. Fires him the same day CPS comes.
So that, that's a horrifying thing to contemplate. So I think your thoughts have to go in a few different.
Also, Don was staying at some of the properties that he was working at. He has microwave and stuff there, and Mary is even talked about it. For some reason, it appears, in my opinion, that Don was not supposed to be there living in the house. And we've talked about it, talked to my girlfriend who works for CPS about it many times. Rather than taking the kids, if one of the people and or parents in the home that could be or is alleged to be the abuser of whatever abuse, while they're investigating and while they're investigating, they'll make that parent move out. And if their investigation, comes up that they find something, then obviously the parent has to not live there anymore, or the kids get taken away.
Places, one, the possibility of them being victims themselves, the other possibility being, who knows, let law enforcement sort that out. But I think, Chris, it sounds like when you're having this conversation, you're finding holes in the story that are making you think this sounds like a cover story. Am I reading you correctly?
Yeah, no, you're correct. It sounds like, to me, in my opinion, has been, I've not left that house yet because there haven't been any other mitigating, factors. And I've watched everything that, other creators have done on YouTube, and I've kind of purposely stayed low.
Which is exactly the reason why Don and his oldest son went to Utah. There was something being alleged, and Don hauled off to Utah with one of his boys. And some months later, obviously he got a little jelly of Jose, and he came back.
But the parents keep lashing out on YouTube about just their behavior as a whole, and sometimes it's while under the influence of alcohol, sometimes it's stone sober, but there's just too many holes that unfortunately at this point that they've put out into the public arena, into the conversation, and a lot of shifting in relationship to from the original stories to today, and a lot of
Now, it's disturbing to think something could have been happening to Summer in that home. But don't forget Don's history, one, and two, don't forget the 911 call where Summer is screaming for help to her mother. And Candace is saying that Don hurt Summer. Now, if you think, you shouldn't put that on Don, well, his history and the phone call of we have Summer screaming for help. Then we're just two different people. That's all I can say. Because Summer is screaming for help. There. So it's insanity.
blaming other people other than potentially them looking in the mirror and saying, okay, yeah, you're right, I did say that, I shouldn't have said that, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but it started early, by the way, within the first 9 days.
But are the other kids there? The other kids are in their possession, they're home?
No, the other children have been taken into protective custody. And that's the other thing. Now, the Child Protective Services is being blamed for abducting Summer right now, by family members.
What?
And it's almost yeah, exactly. And I talked to the father, believe it or not, about 2 weeks ago, and I told him, I said, look, by going out there and saying stuff like that is not very healthy and or correct. There's not a huge conspiracy in Tennessee for the
Hey, y'all, I'm going to end it here. We'll continue with this tomorrow. I will be live again tomorrow, a couple times tomorrow, actually. Ziggy is live now. If you want to head over to Ziggy's, I'll meet y'all over there. I really appreciate you being here with me. We kind of had a rough start starting out. Sorry about the microphone issues and the internet issues, but I really do appreciate your time. Truly, I love each and every one of you and thankful for you guys being here for summer, because if we don't keep this case in the public's eye, then it's just going to get lost. And we can't let that happen. Can't let it happen. I'll see you guys at Ziggy's. Love you all. Tell everyone, tell Ziggy you're coming from Justin's, okay? All right. Love you all.